Mihara was the most ugly nerd of his class and his classmates barely noticed him. Yet somehow, without anyone knowing, he had managed to rizz one of the most popular girls in school. At the start of the story, we see that Mihara had just transferred into the school. During introductions, the teacher asked everyone to fill out a self-introduction sheet and then, somehow picked Mihara to go first. Mihara was the kind of guy most classmates barely noticed. Yet somehow, without anyone knowing, he had managed to get close to one of the most popular girls in school. Nervously standing in front of the class, he explained that he transferred because of family circumstances and that his main hobby was gaming. He also revealed that every Friday he stayed home alone, ordered pizza and cola, and spent the evening playing games or watching movies. When asked what kind of movies he liked, he casually admitted that he enjoyed shark and alligator movies. While most students listened politely, one girl paid surprisingly close attention to every detail. That girl was a Mamiyu. Unlike Mihara, she introduced herself confidently and quickly became the center of attention. She explained that her beautiful hair came from her grandmother and revealed that she had transferred from an all-girls school because she wanted to experience a co-ed environment. Soon afterward, she started joking around with her best friend Umi, and their playful banter instantly captured the entire class. Watching everyone focus on the popular girls, Mihara quietly assumed this was how the rest of his school life would go. At lunch he sat alone as usual. While everyone else spent time with friends, Mihara went straight home after school and spent most holidays by himself too. He had gotten used to being alone, but that didn't stop him from occasionally wishing he could laugh and hang out with classmates like everyone else. A few days later, Yu invited Umi to hang out after school, but Umi said she wanted to watch a movie instead. Yu checked the title, immediately declared it boring, and somehow managed to insult the movie without even watching it. Umi laughed and explained that it was only available on DVD anyway, so she'd watch it alone. Sitting nearby, Mihara overheard the conversation and realized the movie actually sounded interesting. On his way home, he stopped by a rental store to grab the DVD, only to bump hands with someone reaching for the exact same movie. When he looked up, he was shocked to find Umi standing there. She teased him for secretly listening to her conversation earlier, instantly making him panic before admitting she was joking. Then she revealed that she had come to the store because she wanted to talk to him. Pulling out their self-introduction sheets, Umi pointed out how many hobbies they shared. Both loved games, movies, pizza, and cola. After reading his profile, she felt like she had finally found someone with the same interests, so she wanted to become friends. She asked him for movie recommendations, and before long they were chatting about films, games, and random topics. What started as a simple conversation quickly grew into a genuine friendship that nobody else in class knew about. Back in the present, Umi secretly messages Mihara that she'll be visiting his house later. When she arrives, she's carrying chips while Mihara has already ordered pizza. They soon discover that even their favorite toppings are identical. They spend the afternoon gaming together, but despite all her confidence, Umi fails to beat him a single time and is forced to retire from professional trash talking. As evening approaches, Mihara accidentally stares at her for a little too long. Umi immediately catches him and starts teasing him, while Mihara awkwardly explains that he was only wondering how she stayed so slim despite eating as much junk food as he did. Umi says she exercises regularly and playfully pokes him before escalating things further by tickling him as revenge for embarrassing her. By the end of the day, both of them have had far more fun than either expected. Before leaving, Umi suggests hanging out again next weekend. Mihara likes the idea until he remembers one tiny problem. He's practically invisible at school while Umi is one of the most popular girls in class. If people saw them together, rumors would spread faster than free Wi-Fi. Seeing his worried expression, Umi quickly figures out what he's thinking and reassures him that she'll help keep their friendship a secret. Then, with a mischievous grin, she jokes that if anyone finds out, they can just pretend they're dating. That single sentence nearly causes Mihara's soul to leave his body. He immediately insists they aren't dating, while Umi laughs and reminds him that their outing is still happening. Later, when Mihara tells his mother that he's going out with a friend and needs some money, she's completely stunned. Since her son usually spends all his time alone, the idea that he actually made a friend sounds so unbelievable that she briefly wonders if someone is extorting him. Mihara quickly assures her that everything is fine. She immediately hands him 10,000 yen for the outing and even offers more if he needs it. Mihara tries to refuse, but she's far too excited to listen. The next day at school, Mihara notices Umi chatting with her friends. While talking, she secretly makes a small gesture toward him. Later during lunch, Mihara notices an older student talking to Umi. His imagination immediately starts writing disaster scenarios, while Yu and Nina secretly show up to investigate as well. Yu accidentally trips and exposes their hiding spot, turning the whole operation into the least professional spy mission ever. Before long, all three of them are awkwardly watching together as the senior finally confesses to Umi. Picking up from there, Umi politely rejects him. When he asks whether she likes someone else, she denies it and explains she's simply not interested. Yu and Nina aren't surprised at all since they know how difficult it is for anyone to get close to her. Yu even reveals that the same guy once confessed to her and got rejected there too. Before leaving, he suggests becoming friends instead, but Umi turns that down as well. Later, Mihara tells Umi that he witnessed the entire confession. To his surprise, she barely cares. He comments that being popular must actually be exhausting. People constantly want your attention, friendship, or something more, and dealing with people you aren't interested in sounds far more tiring than being alone. Umi says he thinks too much sometimes, but admits that's also one of the reasons she enjoys talking to him. After that, they go back to spending time together, gaming and joking around like usual. A week passes, and Friday finally arrives. Umi tells her friends she has something important to do after school and leaves early. Naturally, they immediately assume she's meeting a boyfriend and start teasing her, forcing Umi to shut down the rumors before they grow any bigger. Meanwhile, Mihara is already waiting at their meeting spot, worried about how he looks. When Umi arrives, she instantly teases him for dressing almost entirely in black and tells him to wear something brighter next time. Mihara gets distracted by one particular phrase, next time. Apparently, she already plans on dragging him out again. As they walk around together, Mihara points out that she arrived much earlier than necessary. Umi smiles and admits she expected him to show up early, so she came early too because she didn't want him waiting alone. He then takes her to one of his favorite places, somewhere he usually visits by himself. Umi enjoys exploring it and mentions that she rarely gets chances like this since she's normally busy hanging out with her friends. While spending time together, Umi tells him he can stop speaking so formally around her. Mihara immediately fires back by asking why she still can't call him by his first name. Realizing she's been cornered by her own logic, Umi changes the topic at lightning speed and jokingly suggests checking out the adult section of the store together. Mihara shuts that idea down so quickly you'd think she suggested robbing a bank. Later they grab some food and end up talking about one of their favorite movies. Since their tastes continue matching almost perfectly, they decide to watch it together the following Friday as well. Unfortunately, their peaceful outing is interrupted when a couple of girls from school spot Umi and start gossiping nearby. They recognize her as the girl who recently rejected a senior and begin calling her arrogant and full of herself. Umi tries to ignore them, but the comments clearly get under her skin. Then she suddenly comes up with an idea. Leaning toward Mihara, she quietly apologizes in advance. Before he can ask why, she starts acting like his girlfriend. She calls him darling, feeds him food, and sticks close to him the entire time. Mihara's brain immediately crashes from overload while the gossiping girls stare in complete shock. The girls can't believe what they're seeing. In their minds, there is absolutely no way someone as popular as Umi would choose a guy like Mihara over the senior she rejected. Hearing them insult Mihara instantly annoys Umi, and she's ready to argue back. However, Mihara calmly stops her and tells her that she already knows who he really is, and that's more than enough for him. After that, the two spend the rest of the day enjoying arcade games, playing baseball, and generally having a great time together. Eventually they grab some cold drinks and start talking about heading home. While Umi steps away to use the restroom, Mihara sits alone and reflects on how weird his life has become. A few months ago, the idea of spending an entire day hanging out with one of the most popular girls in school would have sounded like pure fiction. While he's lost in thought, Yu and Nina suddenly appear. Since Mihara is dressed differently than usual, Yu doesn't even recognize him at first. At the same moment, Mihara quickly calls Umi, allowing her to overhear the conversation through his phone. Yu notices an extra bag beside him and asks if he's hanging out with a friend. Realizing where this could lead, Mihara tries to leave, but Yu cheerfully invites both him and his friend to join them. Nina immediately attempts to stop her, which only makes Yu even more curious. She jokingly asks whether Nina dislikes Mihara, leaving Nina wishing the ground would open up and save her. Watching all this unfold, Mihara finally understands something about Umi. Some people simply don't enjoy being surrounded by crowds all the time. He politely declines the invitation and explains that while group outings can be fun, not everyone feels comfortable in large circles. And today he already has plans with a friend. Later, she thanks him for helping her avoid an awkward situation. Umi admits that ever since transferring schools, she has constantly been surrounded by people. Because she's popular, smart, and attractive, everyone wants her attention, but being in a large group all the time isn't as fun as it sounds. She rarely gets to talk about the things she genuinely likes and often ends up going along with whatever everyone else wants. More than anything, she wanted someone who understood her real personality. Mihara then asks why she didn't become friends with him sooner. Umi admits that she had never gotten this close to a boy before, so working up the courage to approach him took much longer than he probably realized. As their outing finally comes to an end, Umi apologizes for dragging him into such an awkward situation with you. She promises she'll explain everything herself and even shows him a message from you, who is currently panicking because she thinks Mihara is upset with her. Mihara can't help laughing at how seriously you take takes these things. Umi gently pats his head and reassures him that she'll handle everything since that's what friends are for. The following day, Yu immediately rushes over to apologize. Their classmates are completely confused because nobody knows when these two suddenly became close enough to have private conversations. Yu sincerely explains that she never meant to make him uncomfortable and simply assumed he enjoyed hanging out in large groups. Mihara assures her that he's not angry at all and appreciates that she was only trying to be friendly. The moment she hears that, Yu lights up and excitedly asks if he's free later because she wants to talk more. Mihara agrees, and Yu casually mentions that she'll just contact him using the number he gave her. The entire classroom practically suffers collective emotional damage. Every guy instantly becomes jealous after learning that Yu and Mihara have exchanged numbers. Mihara quickly reminds her that she was the one who wanted that information kept secret. Unfortunately, Yu completely forgot about that detail and exposed everything herself in front of the whole class. Soon afterward, Yu comes over to chat with Mihara again, this time dragging Umi along with her. She thanks him for letting Umi join them and jokes that Umi is the perfect secret keeper. While they're talking, they notice Nina secretly following them from a distance. The moment they catch her, everyone immediately starts running. Eventually, the group ends up at Mihara's house. There, Umi asks Yu how she even got Mihara's phone number. Yu and Nina end up confessing everything, including the fact that they secretly spied on Umi during the confession incident. Umi responds by lightly bonking both of them on the head and declaring their punishment complete. Yu then apologizes for interrupting the day Mihara spent with his friend. Mihara tells her not to worry and explains once again that he simply prefers spending time with a small number of people rather than hanging around large groups. The moment he mentions having a particular friend he enjoys spending time with, Yu immediately points out that he must really like that person. Both Mihara and Umi instantly turn red, making the answer painfully obvious to everyone except Yu. Before going home, Yu suddenly asks Mihara if he would like to become her friend too. And just like that, Mihara accidentally unlocks another member of his social circle. The next day at school, Yu walks straight up to him and starts talking like they've been friends for years. She even gives him a nickname, calling him Maki. The entire class watches in confusion, and things get even worse when Nina asks who Maki is, only for Yu to casually reveal that she's talking about Mihara. At this point, everyone becomes convinced something suspicious is happening. Rumors immediately start spreading around the classroom, with some students joking that Mihara must have blackmailed Yu into becoming friends with him. Hearing that naturally bothers him, and Umi secretly sends him a message apologizing for Yu's habit of accidentally creating chaos everywhere she goes. Later, the three decide to eat lunch together outside. A flashback reveals that Yu was the one who enthusiastically invited Mihara in the first place. The invitation alone nearly shocked the entire classroom into cardiac arrest, but Umi quickly pulled Yu aside and reminded her that Mihara wasn't comfortable around large groups. She explained that her original plan was for only the two of them to have lunch together. When asked what he thought, Mihara admitted that being alone with Yu would make him a little nervous. After thinking for a moment, Yu came up with a simple solution and invited Umi to join them as well, which Mihara happily accepted. The three then head to a quiet spot where Mihara usually eats lunch by himself. While eating, Yu notices his homemade egg roll and immediately asks to try some. One bite later, she's practically giving it a 5-star review. Mihara explains that he learned to cook because his mother is often busy with work. Curious, Umi tries the food too and quickly understands why Yu is so impressed. The conversation eventually shifts to desserts, and when Mihara casually mentions that he can make pancakes, Yu's eyes start sparkling like she just discovered hidden treasure. The moment he offers to make some for her, she excitedly asks if she can visit his house. Before Mihara realizes what's happening, Yu has already invited Umi too, and somehow he ends up agreeing to everything. While Yu goes off to buy drinks, Mihara and Umi talk about her. They both agree that she's cheerful, adorable, and surprisingly easy to get along with. Umi points out that one of Yu's best qualities is that she never worries about what other people think of her. However, she also wonders whether the rumors spreading around class because of their friendship are bothering him. Mihara says he doesn't really care. Umi reminds him that they're talking about Yu, one of the most popular girls in school. Everyone constantly talks about her. According to the endless ranking contests invented by bored classmates, Yu is considered the prettiest girl in class while Umi usually comes second. Later, Nina asks Yu why she's suddenly become interested in Mihara. Yu explains that he's simply a good person. He listens carefully, thinks before speaking, and always pays attention to others. In fact, she thinks he's actually pretty similar to Umi in some ways. After school, Yu and Umi visit Mihara's house to try his famous pancakes. The moment they take a bite, both girls are impressed. Yu admits that she's followed plenty of pancake recipes herself, but they never tasted this good. Umi immediately points out that Yu usually ignores half the instructions, which probably explains the mystery. Yu fires back by bringing up the time Umi nearly turned Valentine's cookies into charcoal. Before long, the two are teasing each other while Mihara learns more about their old school life and discovers that they both transferred from the same girls' academy. That naturally makes him curious about why they decided to leave. Afterward, they spend the afternoon gaming together. Mihara is shocked by how quickly Yu adapts. Despite playing for the first time, she picks up the controls almost instantly and even defeats Umi with ease. When Mihara asks how she did it, Yu enthusiastically begins explaining her strategy while leaning closer and closer to him. Umi, meanwhile, looks noticeably less entertained by the situation. Later, while walking home, Yu mentions that she'd like to take Mihara somewhere fun someday. Umi agrees, but then unexpectedly says she won't be joining them. Yu immediately asks why, and Umi explains that if he wants to get closer to Mihara, spending time with him one-on-one would probably help. Yu wastes no time calling Mihara to ask if he's free on Friday. Unfortunately for her, he already has plans with someone else. Hearing that answer secretly puts Umi in a very good mood. A little later, Umi suddenly remembers that she supposedly forgot her phone at Mihara's house and rushes back to retrieve it. When she arrives, she's acting unusually flustered. After randomly tugging on his nose, saying goodbye, and fleeing the scene at top speed, she leaves Mihara completely confused. The next Friday, the two return to their usual routine of gaming together. During their session, Umi starts talking about a manga she's recently become obsessed with. Mihara reveals that he already owns the next volume, and Umi immediately abandons gaming like it never existed. The two begin reading together and quickly become absorbed in the story. One volume turns into another, tears start appearing thanks to the emotional plot, and before they realize it, several hours have passed. Eventually, Mihara notices that Umi has fallen asleep beside him while reading. Seeing how comfortable she looks, he wonders how she managed to relax so completely in his room. Unfortunately, he doesn't get much time to think about it because he ends up falling asleep too. Later, Mihara wakes up to someone calling his name. Umi is still sleeping beside him, but the real problem is standing right in front of him. His mother. Needless to say, she has several questions and absolutely no intention of leaving without answers. After contacting Umi's mother, both families quickly learn the truth. The two teenagers simply got so invested in manga that they accidentally passed out. Meanwhile, Mihara and Umi spend their time apologizing to each other for failing to wake the other person up. Since it's already late, Umi's mother gives permission for her to stay the night. After hearing this, Umi heads off for a bath while Mihara attempts to escape any further conversations. Unfortunately, his mother catches him first. She asks how long Umi has been visiting the house, and Mihara admits they've been hanging out like this for around 2 months. He quickly clarifies that they're just friends and nothing inappropriate has happened. His mother says she trusts him but reminds him that he still needs to be careful. Mihara agrees and promises to apologize properly to Umi's family the next day. Later, after changing clothes and cleaning up his room, Mihara is surprised when Umi suddenly walks in wearing some of his spare clothes. He tells her she can have the room while he sleeps in the living room. However, before he leaves, Umi asks him to stay and talk for a little longer. As expected, the conversation quickly turns into playful teasing. Umi jokingly calls him a bad boy for letting a beautiful girl spend the night at his house. After some banter, Mihara brings up a more serious topic and wonders if they should finally tell you about their friendship. Umi admits that keeping it secret forever is impossible and that you will eventually find out anyway. Still, she asks him to leave it to her. When the right moment comes, she'll tell you herself. Mihara agrees and heads to the living room. Can't resist teasing him, jokingly asking if he'd rather sleep in her room instead. At this point, poor Mihara is being bullied by every woman in a 5-kilometer radius. The next morning, he walks Umi home and meets her mother, who surprisingly isn't angry at all. She calmly explains that she doesn't mind Umi spending time with friends. She simply wants to know where her daughter is so she doesn't spend the whole night worrying. Umi apologizes and promises to be more careful in the future. After that, Umi's mother turns her attention toward Mihara and asks how the two became so close. Umi immediately turns bright red and desperately tries to stop the conversation before it starts. Unfortunately, her reaction only makes things funnier. Her mother instantly begins teasing them and repeatedly refers to Mihara as Umi's boyfriend, leaving Umi wishing the floor would swallow her whole. Completely embarrassed, Umi retreats to the kitchen to bring out some fruit. While she's gone, her mother thanks Mihara for becoming such an important friend to her daughter. She explains that he understands Umi better than most people and asks him to continue looking after her. Then, just to make Umi suffer a little more, she jokingly suggests that Mihara should spend a night at their house sometime too. The second Umi hears that, she nearly short-circuits from embarrassment and demands to know why Mihara isn't stopping her mother. Unfortunately for her, Umi's mom seems determined to keep teasing them. She continues treating Mihara like a future son-in-law, forcing Umi to practically beg for mercy. A few days later, the teacher announces that preparations for next month's school festival are beginning. Student representatives need to be chosen, and thanks to the worst luck imaginable, Mihara draws the winning lottery slip for the boys. The moment his name is announced, several classmates start making jokes. Some wonder how any girl could survive working with him, while others question whether he can even participate in meetings properly. Hearing those comments irritates Nina, while Umi quietly feels bad for him. Things get even worse when some girls seem relieved they won't have to work alongside him. Mihara starts wondering how this situation could possibly get any more painful. Then Yu suddenly stands up and asks a question that silences the entire classroom. Why does everyone hate Mihara so much? She openly calls out the class for judging him despite the fact that he's never done anything wrong. Then she boldly volunteers to become the girl's representative and work beside him. Mihara agrees, but Umi reminds everyone that representatives were supposed to be chosen through the lottery. The actual winner should take the role, not whoever volunteers first. Yu stubbornly argues anyway and even tries to grab the lottery slip. Before things can escalate, Umi lightly bonks her on the head and tells her to calm down. She understands that Yu is upset, but creating another scene won't solve anything. Realizing she's gone a little too far, Yu apologizes, and in the end the representatives are officially decided. Mihara will represent the boys, while Umi will represent the girls. After class, Mihara thanks Umi for helping him. Surprisingly, Umi spends most of the conversation praising Yu instead. She admires how fearlessly Yu defended him in front of everyone. When he was being insulted, Yu didn't hesitate for even a second. Umi admits she probably couldn't have done something so direct herself. Soon afterward, preparations officially begin. On the way home, Yu thanks Umi for stopping her earlier because she knows she would have said something much harsher otherwise. The next day, the representatives meet to discuss decoration ideas. Since their class is handling decorations, Umi suggests adding cosplay to attract attention. Naturally, she volunteers Yu and Nina for the role. When Umi asks for more decoration ideas, the room falls silent. Then, to everyone's surprise, Mihara raises his hand and presents an idea for creating large decorative artwork using empty drink cans. Later, Umi compliments his proposal. Mihara admits he was incredibly nervous during the meeting, but he's relieved that she's working beside him. Having Umi around makes everything much easier. That's when she reveals a secret. Pulling out the lottery slip, Umi admits that she wasn't actually chosen. Back when the representatives were being selected, she lied and claimed she had won because she wanted to stand beside Mihara and support him. Rather than getting upset, Mihara smiles. At the exact moment he needed someone on his side, Umi stepped forward without hesitation. As preparations continue, the class begins collecting cans for the project while Mihara and Umi work on the mascot design. Umi creates an early sketch, but she's not very satisfied with it. Mihara encourages her and says it will probably look much better once everything is completed. A little later, Yu joins them and mentions that many of the cans still need cleaning. While helping, she notices the mascot sketch and asks if she can try drawing it herself. When she finishes, her version turns out noticeably better. Umi doesn't complain, but it's obvious she's disappointed. Realizing Yu is more skilled at drawing, she asks her to handle the illustration while Nina helps with the can art project instead. That evening, Yu and Umi continue refining the design together. The next day, Mihara sees the finished version and genuinely likes it. Even so, he can tell Umi is still feeling a little discouraged. Later, some classmates praise the artwork and even apologize for the rude comments they made about him earlier. Umi accepts the apology and simply asks them to support Mihara because he's working hard for everyone. However, after spending some time working alone, Mihara quickly realizes something important. The project feels a lot less enjoyable without her around. Eventually he gives in, calls Umi, and asks if she'd like to come over after all so they can discuss the design, grab something to eat, and maybe play a few games together. Basically, the poor guy finally discovers that he's become emotionally dependent on his weekly Umi subscription. Umi immediately teases Mihara, claiming he must be feeling lonely without her. Embarrassed, he tells her to forget about it if she's busy, but just before ending the call, Umi quietly admits that she misses him too. Not long afterward, she arrives at his house, and the two spend the evening working on the festival project, joking around, and relaxing together. At one point, Umi jokingly asks if she can stay the night again. When Mihara casually says he doesn't mind, she instantly starts teasing him for being way too comfortable with having girls sleep over. Mihara reminds her that she's the one who accidentally passed out at his house in the first place, and their usual back and forth continues. While Mihara works, Umi eventually gets tired, rests her head on his shoulder, and falls asleep. Then the doorbell suddenly rings. When he answers it, he's shocked to find Yu standing outside. Yu already knows Umi is there. She explains that she isn't trying to interrupt them and only wants to talk with her friend. When Mihara asks how she figured everything out, Yu reveals that Umi had been making more excuses than usual lately. On top of that, whenever Mihara came up, Umi always seemed unusually comfortable and relaxed. Those little clues eventually made everything obvious. Yu then directly asks Umi why she never told her about their friendship. Mihara immediately takes the blame and explains that he was the one who wanted to keep it secret. Yu accepts that explanation, but she still wants to hear how Umi really feels. The problem is that Umi can't answer. That silence hurts Yu far more than any explanation could have. She asks if Umi doesn't trust her and wonders whether she was the only one who considered them best friends. Her words bring back an old memory. Back in middle school, Umi once invited two girls to spend the weekend together. They politely declined and claimed they already had plans. Later that same day, she unexpectedly saw those exact girls hanging out with Yu instead. Nobody intentionally hurt her, but the experience left a mark. Deep down, Umi started feeling like people naturally chose Yu over her, which made it harder for her to openly share her feelings. Back in the present, Umi finally admits that she couldn't bring herself to talk about it. After apologizing to Mihara for dragging him into the situation, she decides to leave. The next day, Mihara notices that Umi still hasn't replied to any of his messages. At school, however, she and Yu arrive together and act completely normal. From the outside, it looks like they've already made up. For a moment, Mihara thinks the problem might have solved itself. Unfortunately, Yu later messages him and reveals that they never actually talked things through. She simply assumed Mihara had already helped fix everything because Umi was acting the same as always. Mihara admits that he hasn't spoken with her either. Thinking back on everything, he realizes he spent so much time worrying about keeping their friendship secret that he never noticed how much Umi herself was struggling. Whatever she's carrying has clearly been weighing on her for a long time, and he doesn't want her to face it alone anymore. So he walks up to her and asks if they can talk privately. The request immediately attracts attention from everyone nearby. Umi becomes nervous and tries to refuse, saying she still has work to do. Thankfully, Yu and Nina step in and tell her not to worry. They'll handle everything while she's gone. Once they're finally alone, Umi reminds Mihara that their friendship was supposed to stay secret. Mihara admits that he knows, but he didn't have any other option. She wasn't answering his messages, and he was genuinely worried about her. As they continue talking, Umi asks if he really wants to know what she's been hiding and why she's been avoiding him lately. Mihara honestly says yes. He wants to understand what she's feeling and what she's going through. But at the same time, he refuses to pressure her into opening up before she's ready. Umi points out that if he keeps being this patient, she might never tell him. Mihara simply replies that he'll wait no matter how long it takes. And hearing that leaves Umi completely speechless. Umi suddenly leans against Mihara and calls him an idiot. She tells him that she already knows he's a genuinely kind person, but sometimes he's almost too kind for his own good. One day, someone might take advantage of that. Then she finally makes him a promise. She wants to tell him everything she's been hiding, but asks him to wait until after the school festival. Mihara agrees immediately, and Umi also promises that she'll finally have an honest conversation with you. Before long, the school festival arrives. The class successfully completes their giant can art project, and everything goes surprisingly smoothly. During a quiet moment, Mihara and Umi end up sitting alone together. Wanting to support her, Mihara awkwardly asks if they can hold hands. He immediately starts backpedaling and says it's completely fine if she doesn't want to. Umi quickly realizes he's only trying to help her relax and smiles before taking his hand. The two sit quietly together. A little later, Yu shows up and says she wants to introduce them to someone. She brings over two girls who were friends with both her and Umi back in middle school. However, the moment she sees them, Umi interrupts. She explains that while those girls may have been close to Yu, things were never that simple for her. Then she finally decides it's time to reveal the truth she's been carrying for years. The story shifts into a flashback from their childhood. Back then, Umi was popular and surrounded by friends. One day, she noticed a girl constantly sitting by herself. Curious, she approached her and asked why she was always alone. That girl was Yu. Yu explained that after transferring schools, she struggled to fit in because she had been teased for her unusual appearance in the past. Expecting the same thing to happen again, she kept her distance from everyone. Feeling bad for her, Umi offered to become her friend. Yu happily accepted, and according to Umi, that simple moment ended up changing everything. Afterward, Umi introduced Yu to her friend group. Thanks to her cheerful personality, Yu quickly became friends with everyone. At first everything seemed normal, but as time passed, Yu's popularity exploded. By middle school, she had become the kind of student everyone wanted to be around. Umi didn't think much of it initially, but eventually she started noticing a painful pattern. People weren't jealous of Yu. They were jealous of Umi for being close to Yu. As Yu became more popular, students constantly questioned why Umi was the person she spent the most time with. Slowly, Umi began feeling isolated. Then one day she invited Yu and two other friends to watch a movie together. The girls declined, claiming they already had plans. Since Umi didn't want to invite only Yu and leave the others out, she decided to go alone. While out that day, she accidentally discovered the truth. The two girls who rejected her were actually spending time with Yu. Worse, she overheard them talking. When Yu mentioned wishing Umi could have joined them, the girls casually lied and claimed Umi was probably busy studying. Standing there alone, Umi realized she had been excluded without anyone even bothering to tell her. Back in the present, Yu is stunned to learn that this incident became one of the main reasons Umi transferred schools. Umi explains that she thought changing schools would finally allow her to leave those feelings behind. Unfortunately, Yu ended up transferring to the same school again. Yu immediately tells her that although Sanai and Mana are important friends, Umi has always been the most important friend in her life. Umi sadly smiles and says she appreciates hearing that, but it doesn't erase what happened. She then reveals that after graduation she confronted those two girls, and they finally admitted the truth. They wanted to get closer to Yu and viewed Umi as someone standing in the way, so they slowly pushed her aside. Over time, that experience left a deep scar. Because Yu was so popular, many people became jealous of Umi for being called her best friend, and Umi gradually felt like she was losing things simply because she was close to Yu. That's why she kept her friendship with Mihara a secret. She was terrified that if Yu found out, she would somehow lose this friendship too. For once, she wanted something that felt like it belonged only to her. Finally, Umi says the words she's been holding back for years. She tells Yu that she loves her more than anyone as a friend, but at the same time, a part of her has grown to resent her as well. After apologizing, Umi asks for some time alone and runs off. Mihara immediately follows after her because there are still things he wants to say. When he finds her, he sits beside her and gently tells her how incredible she is. For years, she carried all that pain by herself without ever letting anyone see it. He knows how difficult that must have been, and he genuinely admires her strength. Meanwhile, Umi starts blaming herself. She admits that she ended up doing the very thing she always hated. She hid the truth from Yu and kept her friendship with Mihara secret. Now she has no idea how to fix the mess she created. After listening carefully, Mihara suggests a solution. If repairing her friendship with Yu is the most important thing right now, maybe he should step back for a while. He quickly clarifies that he isn't talking about ending their friendship. They can still talk at school, exchange messages, and stay close. He only means taking a break from their private Friday hangouts so Umi and you can spend more time reconnecting. As expected, Umi immediately sees through him. She tells him to stop hiding behind logic and answer honestly instead. Then she asks a simple question. If they stop meeting after school, will he miss her? Mihara admits that he will. She then asks if he wants things to stay the way they are now. Once again, he answers honestly. He wants to keep their friendship exactly as it is, but he also wants her to make up with Yu. Hearing his real feelings finally helps Umi understand what he's trying to do. She agrees to talk things out properly with Yu. When the two return, Yu notices how close they've become and jokingly asks whether Mihara is more important to Umi than she is. Umi immediately denies it. Both of them are precious friends, and she refuses to rank one above the other. She then apologizes for hiding her friendship with Mihara. Yu admits that she was scared too. For a while, she thought Umi might have replaced her with someone else. Umi apologizes again and says she never realized Yu was carrying those worries. The next moment, Yu pulls her into a hug. She admits that she never noticed how much Umi had been suffering all these years and apologizes for not understanding sooner. After finally speaking honestly, the two friends begin repairing the distance that had been growing between them. Even then, Umi brings up her idea of spending less time with Mihara for a while. Yu immediately rejects it. She calls both of them idiots and points out that if they stop seeing each other because of her, she'll only feel guilty. If they truly want to remain friends, then they should keep doing what makes them happy instead of sacrificing things for her sake. Then Yu comes up with her own solution, and naturally it's completely ridiculous. She orders Mihara and Umi to walk around the school festival while holding hands. Once the festival ends, the story jumps forward to another Friday. As usual, Umi visits Mihara's house, but this time Yu comes along as well. She tells them to ignore her and act exactly as they normally do. The reason is simple. After hearing so much about their secret Friday meetings, she wants to see what they actually do together. The answer turns out to be far less exciting than she imagined. While Yu watches from the sidelines, Mihara and Umi spend their time playing games, talking about random things, arguing over tiny details, and teasing each other nonstop. There are no secret plans, no hidden romance, and no mysterious activities. They're literally just hanging out. After Mihara wins one of their matches, Umi immediately declares that she'll get revenge next Friday. Then she walks over to Yu and finally admits something she had been keeping to herself. After spending all this time with Mihara, she now understands why she enjoys these Fridays so much. It's because when she's with him, she never has to pretend to be anyone else. Earlier, Umi suggested taking some distance from Mihara, but now she admits she can't do it. Their Friday hangouts have become far too important to her, so she asks Yu if she can continue spending time with him every week. Yu happily agrees, though she has one condition. Umi has to keep hanging out with her too and share a lot more stories from now on. With that issue settled, Yu leaves the two alone. Later, while they're watching a movie together, Umi notices Mihara sneezing and decides he's probably catching a cold. She grabs a blanket, wraps herself up, and then invites him to sit beside her. The offer immediately makes Mihara nervous, but Umi laughs and tells him she's giving him a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so he'd better hurry up. After he reluctantly joins her under the blanket, Umi asks if she can start calling him Maki, just like Yu does. Mihara agrees and jokingly responds by calling her by her first name. Umi immediately smacks him on the head and tells him not to get ahead of himself. Then, smiling softly, she admits that this is just the kind of girl she is, so he'd better get used to it. As they continue talking, Mihara casually tells her that when she smiles like that, she's cuter and prettier than anyone else. The compliment hits Umi like a critical attack. Blushing, she asks if that means he likes her. Mihara instantly turns red and completely loses the ability to form sentences. Later, while walking her home, Umi asks the same question again. This time Mihara dodges it and asks whether she likes him instead. Umi says no. Then she suddenly kisses him on the cheek. With a smile, she corrects herself and says she doesn't just like him, she loves him. Before heading inside, she tells him that the next kiss will be on the lips, but only after he finally admits his own feelings. Naturally, Mihara spends the rest of the evening looking like his brain has permanently stopped working. The next episode begins with Mihara dreaming about his childhood. In the dream, he sees his mother crying while his father stands nearby. Before disappearing, his father gently pats him on the head. When Mihara wakes up, he realizes it's a dream he hasn't had in years. For some reason, hearing Umi's confession brought it back. Even though Mihara already knows he loves Umi too, something is still preventing him from saying those words out loud. The following day, Umi teases him about taking forever to answer. She jokingly accuses him of keeping her as a backup option, instantly sending him into panic mode. After enjoying his reaction, she admits she's kidding and points out that she already knows she's his first choice. While talking, she notices that the cold weather has dried out his lips. Pulling out a new lip balm, she applies it for him. When Mihara asks if it's the same one she uses, Umi immediately realizes where his mind went and starts laughing. She reassures him it's brand new before handing it over. Then, just to finish him off emotionally, she adds that sharing lip balm can wait until their relationship develops a little further. Later at school, Nina congratulates Mihara on the success of the festival. Thanks to their project, the class even received a special award. During the conversation, Nina suddenly asks if he and Umi are dating. Unfortunately, Umi arrives at the exact worst possible moment and hears everything. Nina claims she was joking, but Yu immediately notices how suspiciously flustered Umi becomes whenever Mihara is involved. Before long, everyone is enjoying Umi's embarrassment while she desperately wishes for an emergency escape button. A few days later, another student asks Yu out for Christmas Eve. Yu politely declines, explaining that she'll be attending a large Christmas party shared by students from several schools. She also casually reveals that there's already someone she likes. Meanwhile, Mihara, Umi, and Nina happen to overhear the conversation. After the boy leaves, Nina suggests checking on him since getting rejected is never fun. As they walk over, Mihara remembers that the Christmas party is a huge annual event and registration closed months ago. Back then he wasn't friends with Umi yet, so he completely ignored it. Looking back, he realizes that decision may have been a little short-sighted. When the others learn he won't be attending, they genuinely feel sorry for him. Then Nina casually reveals that she won't be going either because she'll be spending Christmas Eve with her boyfriend. This revelation shocks both Umi and Yu. Nina explains that a senior confessed to her during the the school festival, and they've been dating ever since. Apparently, she unlocked an entire romance route off-screen. Not long afterward, a classmate named Seiki approaches Mihara and asks to speak with him privately. At first, Mihara worries this is going to be some kind of confrontation. Instead, Seiki surprises him by asking for help. He explains that before high school he never cared much about romance. Then he saw you during the entrance ceremony and instantly fell for her. For nearly a year he was content admiring her from afar, but now time is running out. Soon they'll move into their second year, and there's no guarantee they'll even stay in the same class. Because of that, Seiki finally wants to take action. He asks Mihara to help him get closer to you through Umi and even offers him a spot in his Christmas party group. However, Mihara politely refuses. If Seiki's plan is to use his friendship with Umi as a shortcut to reach you, then he's not willing to be part of it. Seiki doesn't get angry after Mihara refuses. Instead, he admits the request was unfair since they barely know each other and apologizes for putting him in such an awkward position. He even thanks Mihara for taking the time to listen. Later, while walking home together, Umi admits she's not exactly looking forward to the Christmas party. One of the participating schools is their old girls' school, which means there's a chance she'll run into people connected to some painful memories. Still, she already paid for her ticket, so her plan is simple: show up, eat some food, survive the evening, and leave. When she mentions that the party will probably end around 8 or 9, Mihara casually tells her he'll wait for her afterward and bring her something to eat. Such a simple comment shouldn't have been that effective, but it immediately makes Umi smile. That evening, Mihara notices his mother smoking for the first time in a while. While making coffee for her, the two begin talking. He remembers that she picked up the habit after divorcing his father. Although work has become a little tougher with age, she assures him she's doing fine. Eventually, their conversation drifts toward Christmas Eve plans. The next day, you suggest having another Christmas celebration after the party. Umi quickly declines and says she already has plans. You immediately figures out those plans involve Mihara and starts teasing her. Umi turns red and insists that spending Christmas with a friend is perfectly normal. She even offers to let you join them, which only gives you more material to tease her with. Around the same time, Seiki finally works up the courage to confess to you. When he asks to speak with her privately, Umi wonders if they should secretly watch from a distance. Nina immediately shuts that idea down. Everyone already knows Seiki likes you, and the outcome is pretty obvious. Then Nina jokingly adds that things might have gone differently if Mihara had been the one confessing. That comment instantly activates Umi's jealousy settings. As expected, you reject Seiki, and the news spreads through the class almost immediately. While Umi goes to check on you, Nina encourages Mihara to talk with Seiki instead. When Mihara finds him, Seiki admits he rushed the confession and handled everything poorly. He then asks what people are saying about him. Mihara jokingly replies that they're probably talking behind his back, just in a language he doesn't understand. The ridiculous answer finally gets Seiki laughing. As they continue talking, Mihara asks what he'll do next. Seiki admits that common sense says he should move on, but feelings aren't that simple. Then he points out how lucky Mihara is because he already has someone like Umi. Mihara quickly explains that they technically aren't dating yet and ends up revealing the complicated situation between them. After listening, Seiki offers surprisingly decent advice. He may not know much about relationships, but he thinks Mihara should stop hesitating and officially start dating Umi. She's becoming more popular every day, and if he waits too long, somebody else might confess first. Before leaving, Seiki jokingly says that's the best advice one brother can give another. The word catches Mihara off guard. They've only spoken properly a handful of times, but Seiki just shrugs and says friendship doesn't have to be complicated. For once, Mihara decides not to overthink it. Just like that, he gains his first male friend. When he later tells Umi about it, she's genuinely happy for him. At the same time, Seiki's advice keeps replaying in Mihara's mind. Eventually, he gathers his courage and asks Umi if she'd like to watch a movie with him over the weekend. Umi immediately narrows her eyes and asks if he's inviting her on a date. After a brief pause, Mihara finally admits that he is. To his relief, Umi happily accepts. However, before the date can happen, she insists on taking him shopping first. According to her, if he's taking her on a date, his current wardrobe has absolutely no chance of survival. When Friday arrives, Yu tags along as well. The mall is packed with people, and at one point Yu nearly falls after bumping into someone. Mihara catches her before she hits the ground, earning an impressed reaction from Nina. Unfortunately, Umi doesn't look nearly as impressed. She quickly slides herself between them like a human firewall. Later, Mihara apologizes, but Umi insists she isn't upset. Even so, while walking through the crowd, he quietly takes her hand so they don't get separated. Watching from nearby, Nina can only smile because these two are somehow dating without officially dating. The girls then spend the rest of the afternoon forcing Mihara to try on outfit after outfit until they finally find something worthy of the upcoming date. During a break, Mihara checks his phone and sees several excited messages from Umi about how much she's looking forward to the weekend. Then, as he leaves the restroom, he accidentally bumps into someone. To his shock, it's his father. The two haven't seen each other since before summer break. His father asks what he's doing there, and Mihara explains that he's shopping with friends. His father apologizes for being absent and says he's only in town because of work. Standing beside him is a young woman named Minato. Just then, messages from Umi and Yu start flooding in, demanding that Mihara return immediately. As he leaves, Minato quietly watches him and seems surprised to learn that he's his father's son. Walking away, Mihara can't help remembering the painful argument between his parents and the day his father apologized before leaving. Those old memories begin resurfacing just as Christmas approaches. Eventually, he returns to the girls, and Yu immediately points out that he disappeared for so long that Umi started worrying about him. Umi instantly turns red and tries to silence her before she says anything else embarrassing. Later, the group sits down for dinner together. Mihara seems distracted, and Umi quickly notices. She reminds him that zoning out while everyone is together is rude and tells him to focus on the people around him instead. Before long, she and Yu start fooling around as usual, even creating a horrifying drink by mixing random sodas together and forcing each other to taste it. Watching the two of them laugh and enjoy themselves, Mihara realizes something important. For the first time in a very long while, it feels like he's about to end the year with happy memories instead of painful ones. The next day is Mihara's long-awaited date with Umi. The moment she arrives, he can't stop staring at her. Even after she enters the house, his eyes keep drifting back to her outfit. Naturally, Umi notices immediately. When Mihara asks why she's wearing a skirt in freezing weather, she simply says she wanted to look nice for their date. Then she asks what he thinks. After fighting for his life internally, Mihara finally admits that she looks beautiful. Soon the two head out together. Umi quickly notices that Mihara's hands are sweaty despite the cold and starts teasing him about how nervous he is. Mihara knows he's acting awkward, but this is his first real date. For the first time, he genuinely feels like a normal high school boyfriend. Thanks to Umi's help, he's dressed better than usual and feels more confident, though part of him still worries people might judge Umi for being with someone like him. At the movie theater, Mihara realizes they've somehow gotten a couple seat. Umi immediately sits close, grabs his hand, and leans against him. When he panics, she points out that every other couple is doing the exact same thing. The movie itself turns out to be terrible, making their awkward flirting way more entertaining than the film. Afterward, they grab lunch, complain about the tiny portions, and head to karaoke. Since it's Mihara's first time, he's completely lost, but thanks to Umi, what should have been embarrassing becomes one of the most fun parts of the day. By evening, he thanks her for turning something he always avoided into a good memory. As the weather gets colder, Umi quietly asks how he really feels about her. Mihara knows he loves her, but he still doesn't feel worthy of her. Just as he finally gathers the courage to confess, he spots his father across the room with Minato, the woman he met before. When Umi casually remarks that they seem close, Mihara completely loses his focus. Not wanting his father to notice them, Mihara quickly leaves with Umi. As they pass by, Umi pulls him against her to hide his face, which only creates a completely different problem for him. Later, he insists there's probably nothing suspicious going on. He's just not ready to face his father yet. That night, Mihara tells his mother about the date but keeps quiet about seeing his father and Minato. She reminds him that he's scheduled to meet his father next Friday, something they still do once a month despite the divorce. Although Mihara doesn't hate his father, seeing Minato leaves him wondering how much his mother knows and whether she was connected to his father before the divorce. Before bed, he asks his mother if she still loves his father. After some thought, she admits that despite everything they went through, a part of her still does. She even kept all their old family photo albums. Looking through them together, Mihara remembers happier times and decides not to tell her about Minato. The next day, Umi finds those same albums and immediately becomes obsessed with Mihara's childhood photos. While he desperately tries to stop her, neither Umi nor his mother takes him seriously. After his mother leaves for work, Mihara notices how exhausted she looks and worries about how much stress she's been carrying. Later, over breakfast, Mihara tells Umi he has something important to do next Friday. She assumes it's exam-related, but he's actually planning to meet his father. He explains that they used to meet regularly before life got busy. When Umi asks about Minato, Mihara simply says that his parents divorced years ago, and if his father wants to move on, that's his own choice. He doesn't think it's his place to interfere. With exams approaching, Mihara suggests a group study session before Friday. Umi loves the idea and invites you, while Mihara brings Seiki along. Any concern about things being awkward after you rejected him quickly disappears when she points out that rejecting someone doesn't mean they can't still be friends. Her bigger concern is whether Mihara plans to cook again. After school, everyone gathers at Mihara's house. Seiki is secretly excited that you came, but Mihara immediately reminds him they're there to study, not daydream. During the session, Yu reveals that Umi consistently ranks in the top 5 of the class, while Mihara casually admits he's usually around the top 50. Hearing that, Yu and Seiki realize their own grades are in danger and suddenly become much more serious about studying. At one point, Yu asks Mihara for help with a problem, and while he's explaining it, Umi quietly grabs his hand and refuses to let go. Somehow Mihara manages to tutor one person while holding hands with another without completely breaking down. During a break, Mihara makes pancakes, which is exactly what you had been waiting for. While everyone eats, Umi notices cream on Mihara's face, wipes it off, and casually eats it herself. The room instantly falls silent. Yu and Seiki already knew they were dating, but that was a little too much romance for public viewing. Both Mihara and Umi immediately apologize while trying not to die from embarrassment. Then Yu admits she'd love to find someone like Mihara someday, which nearly gives Seiki a heart attack. Unfortunately for him, she quickly explains that she mainly wants someone who can cook that well. Once they're gone, she hugs him tightly and admits that Yu's comment made her nervous. Growing up, she often felt like people naturally drifted toward Yu, and she's afraid of losing Mihara the same way. Mihara reassures her that while Yu is an important friend, Umi is the person he loves. Hearing that finally puts her mind at ease. A few days later, Friday arrives and Mihara heads to meet his father. While waiting, he exchanges messages with a worried Umi. When his father tells him to order whatever he wants, Mihara takes the offer very seriously and orders enough food to make his father regret being generous. He jokes that since they missed several monthly meetings, he's simply collecting all the meals he's owed at once. After eating, Mihara asks the question that's been bothering him. Does his father still love his mother? His father admits that while he still respects and appreciates her, those feelings are no longer romantic. The answer stings, especially after hearing his mother confess that a part of her still loves him. Mihara then asks if Minato was the reason for the divorce. His father immediately denies it, explaining that he only met Minato after the separation. She's simply a coworker who supported him during difficult times. When Mihara asks if he loves her, his father avoids a direct answer, but his response sounds suspiciously close to a yes. Just as they're about to leave, they run into Nina, who's furious after being abandoned at the restaurant by a terrible boyfriend who treated her as a backup option. Since she can't pay the bill, Mihara covers it himself. Later, while drinking coffee together, Nina shares some unexpected relationship advice. She believes relationships fall apart when people stop expressing their true feelings and warns Mihara not to make the same mistake with Umi. When Mihara returns home, he's surprised to find his mother there early. She reveals that she's taking a month off work to spend more time with him and focus on quitting smoking. While Umi thinks the break will be good for her health, she and Mihara quickly realize it will make their usual private time much harder. That's when Umi casually invites Mihara to her house the following Friday. The reason? Her father wants to meet him. Mihara immediately refuses the invitation because meeting Umi's father sounds terrifying, but Umi won't take no for an answer. Her father has become curious about the boy she talks about all the time, and she keeps insisting he give it a chance. The next day, Mihara tells his friends about it. Yu instantly gets jealous because she wants to visit Umi's house too. After jokingly wishing him luck, Umi reveals that meeting her father isn't even the scary part. The real problem is her older brother. Yu suddenly starts acting like she barely knows him, which only makes everyone suspicious that there's a story she's desperately trying to hide. Meanwhile, Seiki points out that Mihara is basically living the dream, spending Christmas with Umi and meeting her family. Mihara then reveals that he never signed up for the Christmas party. To solve the problem, Seiki introduces him to his older sister, the student council president. Since registration is closed, she offers him a loophole. He can attend as a volunteer helping run the event. Mihara immediately agrees since being with Umi is all that matters. A few days later, Mihara notices his mother smoking heavily again. When he asks why, she admits she recently argued with his father. After learning how much housework Mihara does, his father criticized her for overworking overworking herself and relying too much on their son. Mihara defends her, but then she reveals something shocking. His father has been sending enough money to support them all along. She wasn't working overtime because she had to, she was refusing to use the money out of pride. Eventually, she admits that her pride went too far. By rejecting the support, she exhausted herself and unintentionally pushed too many responsibilities onto Mihara. She promises to take better care of herself and spend more time with him from now on. A few days later, Mihara finally visits Umi's house. He's nervous the entire way, and the moment he meets her father, he nearly freezes. The man is tall, intimidating, and has a voice that sounds like it could start an earthquake. Thankfully, Umi's mother quickly proves he's harmless by pulling on his cheeks while Umi attacks him from the side. Within seconds, the terrifying father turns into a helpless victim begging Mihara for rescue. During dinner, Umi explains that her older brother spends most of his time locked in his room. She also reveals why Yu is so afraid of him. Apparently, after meeting her once, he became a little too interested, and Yu has avoided him ever since. As dinner continues, Mihara ends up sitting between Umi and her mother. Both keep trying to take care of him, turning the meal into an unofficial competition. Umi gets jealous every time her mother spoils him, while her mother argues that she already sees him every day at school. The teasing only gets worse when Umi's mother jokingly suggests that Umi feed him herself, leaving both teenagers completely red-faced. After dinner, Umi announces they'll be using her brother's room to play one of Mihara's favorite games. Her brother protests, but the entire family immediately starts roasting him for hiding in his room all day until he finally gives up and agrees. As everyone laughs and chats together, Mihara suddenly starts crying. Watching Umi's family interact reminds him of the family he once had. There was a time when his parents laughed together and shared meals like this, but little by little everything changed. His father became distant, his mother buried herself in work, and after the divorce he spent much of his life alone. The memories hit him all at once, and before he realizes it, tears are running down his face in front of everyone. Embarrassed, Mihara quickly leaves the room, but Umi follows him. Even when he asks to be alone, she refuses to leave and simply hugs him. The warmth immediately calms him down. When Mihara apologizes for ruining dinner, Umi tells him there's nothing wrong with crying and that sometimes people need to let their feelings out. Later, she takes him to her room, where he finally opens up about everything. After listening, Umi gently places his head in her lap. For the first time in a long while, Mihara feels completely at peace and eventually falls asleep. The next morning, he wakes up beside Umi, and the two slowly lean closer as if they're finally about to kiss. Unfortunately, Umi's mother walks in at the worst possible moment. Both of them instantly jump apart while she immediately realizes exactly what almost happened. She later gives them a playful lecture about romance, embarrassing not only the two teenagers but even Umi's father. Afterward, Umi's father asks to speak with Mihara alone. Expecting a scolding, Mihara is surprised when he instead talks about what happened during dinner. He tells Mihara that crying isn't a sign of weakness and that keeping emotions bottled up only causes more pain. Sometimes the healthiest thing a person can do is let those feelings out. Those words stay with Mihara after he returns home. That night, he looks through the old family photo albums again and finally allows himself to cry properly, releasing years of bottled up emotions. While doing so, he realizes that Christmas marks 1 full year since his parents divorced. Determined to do something, he begins making plans and contacts someone for help. Then Yu admits she'd love to find someone like Mihara someday, which nearly gives Seiki a heart attack. Unfortunately for him, she quickly explains that she mainly wants someone who can cook that well. Once they're gone, she hugs him tightly and admits that Yu's comment made her nervous. Growing up, she often felt like people naturally drifted toward Yu, and she's afraid of losing Mihara the same way. Mihara reassures her that while Yu is an important friend, Umi is the person he loves. Hearing that finally puts her mind at ease. A few days later, Friday arrives and Mihara heads to meet his father. While waiting, he exchanges messages with a worried Umi. When his father tells him to order whatever he wants, Mihara takes the offer very seriously and orders enough food to make his father regret being generous. He jokes that since they missed several monthly meetings, he's simply collecting all the meals he's owed at once. After eating, Mihara asks the question that's been bothering him. Does his father still love his mother? His father admits that while he still respects and appreciates her, those feelings are no longer romantic. The answer stings, especially after hearing his mother confess that a part of her still loves him. Mihara then asks if Minato was the reason for the divorce. His father immediately denies it, explaining that he only met Minato after the separation. emotion. She's simply a coworker who supported him during difficult times. When Mihara asks if he loves her, his father avoids a direct answer, but his response sounds suspiciously close to a yes. Just as they're about to leave, they run into Nina, who's furious after being abandoned at the restaurant by a terrible boyfriend who treated her as a backup option. Since she can't pay the bill, Mihara covers it himself. Later, while drinking coffee together, Nina shares some unexpected relationship advice. She believes relationships fall apart when people stop expressing their true feelings and warns Mihara not to make the same mistake with Umi. When Mihara returns home, he's surprised to find his mother there early. She reveals that she's taking a month off work to spend more time with him and focus on quitting smoking. While Umi thinks the break will be good for her health, she and Mihara quickly realize it will make their usual private time much harder. That's when Umi casually invites Mihara to her house the following Friday. The reason? Her father wants to meet him. Mihara immediately refuses the invitation because meeting Umi's father sounds terrifying, but Umi won't take no for an answer. Her father has become curious about the boy she talks about all the time, and she keeps insisting he give it a chance. The next day, Mihara tells his friends about it. Yu instantly gets jealous because she wants to visit Umi's house too. After jokingly wishing him luck, Umi reveals that meeting her father isn't even the scary part. The real problem is her older brother. Yu suddenly starts acting like she barely knows him, which only makes everyone suspicious that there's a story she's desperately trying to hide. Meanwhile, Seiki points out that Mihara is basically living the dream, spending Christmas with Umi and meeting her family. Mihara then reveals that he never signed up for the Christmas party. To solve the problem, Seiki introduces him to his older sister, the student council president. Since registration is closed, she offers him a loophole. He can attend as a volunteer helping run the event. Mihara immediately agrees since being with Umi is all that matters. A few days later, Mihara notices his mother smoking heavily again. When he asks why, she admits she recently argued with his father. After learning how much housework Mihara does, his father criticized her for overworking herself and relying too much on their son. Mihara defends her, but then she reveals something shocking. His father has been sending enough money to support them all along. She wasn't working overtime because she had to, she was refusing to use the money out of pride. Eventually, she admits that her pride went too far. By rejecting the support, she exhausted herself and unintentionally pushed too many responsibilities onto Mihara. She promises to take better care of herself and spend more time with him from now on. A few days later, Mihara finally visits Umi's house. He's nervous the entire way, and the moment he meets her father, he nearly freezes. The man is tall, intimidating, and has a voice that sounds like it could start an earthquake. Thankfully, Umi's mother quickly proves he's harmless by pulling on his cheeks while Umi attacks him from the side. Within seconds, the terrifying father turns into a helpless victim begging Mihara for rescue. During dinner, Umi explains that her older brother spends most of his time locked in his room. She also reveals why Yu is so afraid of him. Apparently, after meeting her once, he became a little too interested, and Yu has avoided him ever since. As dinner continues, Mihara ends up sitting between Umi and her mother. Both keep trying to take care of him, turning the meal into an unofficial competition. Umi gets jealous every time her mother spoils him, while her mother argues that she already sees him every day at school. The teasing only gets worse when Umi's mother jokingly suggests that Umi feed him herself, leaving both teenagers completely red-faced. After dinner, Umi announces they'll be using her brother's room to play one of Mihara's favorite games. Her brother protests, but the entire family immediately starts roasting him for hiding in his room all day until he finally gives up and agrees. As everyone laughs and chats together, Mihara suddenly starts crying. Watching Umi's family interact reminds him of the family he once had. There was a time when his parents laughed together and shared meals like this, but little by little everything changed. His father became distant, his mother buried herself in work, and after the divorce he spent much of his life alone. The memories hit him all at once, and before he realizes it, tears are running down his face in front of everyone. Embarrassed, Mihara quickly leaves the room, but Umi follows him. Even when he asks to be alone, she refuses to leave and simply hugs him. The warmth immediately calms him down. When Mihara apologizes for ruining dinner, Umi tells him there's nothing wrong with crying and that sometimes people need to let their feelings out. Later, she takes him to her room, where he finally opens up about everything. After listening, Umi gently places his head in her lap. For the first time in a long while, Mihara feels completely at peace and eventually falls asleep. The next morning, he wakes up beside Umi, and the two slowly lean closer as if they're finally about to kiss. Unfortunately, Umi's mother walks in at the worst possible moment. Both of them instantly jump apart while she immediately realizes exactly what almost happened. She later gives them a playful lecture about romance, embarrassing not only the two teenagers but even Umi's father. Afterward, Umi's father asks to speak with Mihara alone. Expecting a scolding, Mihara is surprised when he instead talks about what happened during dinner. He tells Mihara that crying isn't a sign of weakness and that keeping emotions bottled up only causes more pain. Sometimes the healthiest thing a person can do is let those feelings out. Those words stay with Mihara after he returns home. That night, he looks through the old family photo albums again and finally allows himself to cry properly, releasing years of bottled up emotions. While doing so, he realizes that Christmas marks 1 full year since his parents divorced. Determined to do something, he begins making plans and contacts someone for help. Soon Christmas Eve arrives. While the student council prepares for the holiday party, Mihara asks the student council president for a 15-minute break because he has something important to do. She eventually agrees, but only at the cost of both Mihara and Seiki losing their lunch break, leaving Seiki questioning why he ever agreed to help. Meanwhile, Yu spends her time teasing Umi, insisting she's putting extra effort into her appearance because Mihara will be there. Umi denies it, which only convinces Yu even more. Elsewhere, Mihara heads off to meet person he contacted, Minato. She explains that his father wanted to come but got stuck at work. A flashback reveals that Mihara recently called his father and told him he plans to move in with him after graduation since the college he wants to attend is nearby. He arranged this meeting to discuss the idea and invited Minato as well. Although his father couldn't make it, Minato came anyway. Mihara thanks her, and she admits she couldn't ignore his request. She openly talks about how much she loves and respects his father, explaining that his support helped shape the person she is today. Then she makes an unexpected request. Instead of waiting until college, Minato asks Mihara to move in with his father right away. She explains that while she's done everything she can to support him, she can never replace the role of his son. According to her, Mihara's father rarely talks about his feelings, yet every conversation somehow ends up being about Mihara. She admits she loves him deeply and only wants to see him happy. Even so, Mihara politely refuses, saying he'll only move in after starting college. Before leaving, Minato asks him to meet her again later that evening. That night, the Christmas party begins. While helping as a volunteer, Mihara receives praise from the student council president. Soon Yu arrives and immediately starts teasing Umi, exposing how much effort she put into getting ready. When Mihara honestly tells Umi she looks beautiful, she becomes even more embarrassed. Nina also shows up and casually explains she'd rather spend Christmas with friends than with the useless boyfriend who dumped her. Later, Seiki takes over Mihara's duties, allowing him to carry out the plan he has been secretly preparing. He asks his mother to meet him outside, and moments later Minato arrives together with his father. Only then does the truth come out. Mihara and Minato secretly arranged this meeting to bring his parents face to face again. The reunion is painfully awkward. Neither parent can even look at the other properly. When Mihara asks why they can't talk after spending 15 years together and raising him, his mother insists there's nothing left to discuss. Seeing Minato beside his father, she assumes they're together, but Minato shocks everyone by admitting that although she loves Mihara's father, she doesn't believe he loves her back. The conversation quickly turns tense. Every question Mihara's mother asks is met with the same frustrating response from his father: "You wouldn't understand." Eventually she snaps, pointing out that she never had a chance to understand because he never explained anything in the first place. As the argument grows worse, Mihara's father decides to leave and accuses Mihara of gathering everyone together just to make them fight. Before he can walk away, Minato stops him and reminds him how much he loves his son. That's when Mihara finally grabs both of his parents' hands and breaks down. Through tears, he pours out everything he's been carrying for the past year. He tells them he still treasures the days when they lived together, shared meals, laughed as a family, and cared for one another. More than anything, he wants both of them in his life and wishes there was still a chance for them to become a family again. After calming down, Mihara apologizes for tricking them into meeting. Around that time, Umi arrives and he proudly introduces her as both his girlfriend and the first real friend he ever made. As snow begins to fall, Mihara asks for one small favor: a family photo. His parents agree, and just as the picture is about to be taken, Nina, Yu, and the others reveal they've been secretly watching the entire drama from a distance. Afterward, everyone returns to the Christmas party. During the event, Umi unexpectedly runs into the girls from her old school who hurt her years ago. The painful memories come rushing back, but Mihara gently reminds her that people can change and that whether she forgives them is entirely her choice. The girls approach Umi and apologize for what happened in the past, but Umi surprises everyone by admitting she wasn't completely innocent either. Instead of confronting them when they lied to her, she chose to run away and cut everyone off. Hearing that makes the girls emotional, and they sincerely apologize, admitting they always considered her an important friend. In the end, Umi forgives them, and Yu immediately turns the emotional reunion into a giant group hug. Later that night, Mihara and Umi look through photos from the Christmas party. Realizing once again how much she has changed his life, Mihara finally confesses that he loves her too. He admits their future won't always be perfect, but no matter what happens, he'll keep loving her. Umi bursts into tears, explaining she's simply been waiting so long to hear those words. The two end up crying, laughing, and finally sharing their first real kiss. Afterward, they return to Mihara's house, where they're left alone with pizza and snacks while their mothers are out. They spend the evening eating, gaming, and enjoying each other's company. Umi even jokes about being carried home, only for Mihara to discover that carrying a girl is much harder than anime makes it look. When he offers to walk her home, she declines, wanting to enjoy the happiness of his confession a little longer. The next morning, Mihara wakes up with a fever. Expecting to rest alone, he's shocked when Umi and her mother suddenly appear and drag him to the hospital. Thankfully, it's only a common cold. Since his mother is busy, Umi's mother suggests he stay at their house until he recovers. Along the way, she happily reveals how badly Umi panicked after hearing her brand new boyfriend was sick. At Umi's house, she refuses to leave Mihara's side for even a moment. She spends the entire day worrying about him, ignoring his complaints that she'll catch his cold too. Her constant care eventually helps him relax enough to fall asleep. That evening, she practically treats him like a child, feeding him dinner while her father quietly wonders if letting his daughter's new boyfriend stay over was really a good idea. Umi's mother, meanwhile, jokes that if anyone is dangerous, it's probably Umi, which does absolutely nothing to reassure him. Later that night, thinking Umi is asleep, Mihara quietly talks about how much he loves her and how she's changed his life. Just as he's about to touch her face, she reveals she heard every word and immediately demands that he repeat all the compliments, leaving him completely embarrassed. By the next morning, his fever is already improving. Even after returning to school, Umi keeps messaging him non-stop to make sure he's resting properly. During this time, Umi's mother shares stories about her daughter's past and admits that after being hurt by her friends, Umi slowly stopped smiling. Meeting Mihara changed that. Seeing her happy again means everything to her family, so she asks him for one thing: please don't leave her. Mihara promises that he won't. Soon Yu and Nina visit and immediately start teasing the new couple, bombarding them with questions about confessions, kisses, and dating details until both of them are completely red-faced. About a week later, Mihara has fully recovered. Umi is happy to see him healthy again, but secretly sad that he'll be leaving. Before heading home, Mihara notices and gives her a kiss, instantly cheering her up. Not long after, New Year arrives. The group visits a shrine together, and while everyone is dressed beautifully, Mihara can barely take his eyes off Umi. After making wishes and drawing fortunes, they discover they wished for the same thing: the health and happiness of their friends and family. As they tie their fortunes together, Mihara promises to become a good boyfriend, and Umi happily accepts as they welcome the new year together.